Hi everyone, wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom Umvorach. This week we begin the third book of our Torah, the Sefer Vayikra. And that is the name of our parasha as well, Parashat Vayikra. And our parasha deals with different types of sacrifices, korbanot, that we would need to bring in the Beit HaMikdash. And one of these korbanot was a korban chatat. If somebody committed a sin by mistake, they would need to bring an offering in the Beit HaMikdash. And when it comes to a mistake that a prince commits, the pasuk says, Asher nasi yecheta. If a prince will make a sin, then this is the type of offering they need to bring. What's very interesting, the way to say if in Hebrew normally is im, if a prince. But it doesn't say that. The pasuk says, Asher nasi yecheta. And Rashi tells us something amazing. Asher comes from the word Ashrei. We say that every single day. Ashrei yoshevei betecha. Praiseworthy. Praiseworthy is a prince that sins. What does that mean? The answer, says Rashi, in life, it is so hard for us to own our mistakes, to admit we were wrong, to admit that something that we said, something that we did was maybe not so correct. A lot of times, when we make mistakes in our lives, our gut reaction is to try to shift responsibility onto somebody else. We knock something off the counter. Who left something on the counter? Why did somebody leave something, right? We live in a time that nothing that I do is my fault. And if I'm not successful, it's because I'm a victim. It's because somebody out there took something that's mine. And the Torah is telling us that when we make mistakes in life, and by the way, it's much harder to own that mistake when the person that I committed a mistake to is younger than me. Sometimes we yell at our children, and it's out of line. We shouldn't have yelled at them, especially in public or maybe in front of their friends. And we know it was wrong. But how difficult it is to walk over and to apologize and say, hey, I'm so sorry. I should not have said that to you in front of your friends, right? When someone's smaller than us, younger than us, we definitely don't apologize. Well, think about this prince. Here he is, he committed a sin. And by the way, no one really knew about it. It's just between him and God. And now he has to come and bring an animal to the Beit HaMikdash, to the Mishkan, and he has to apologize, by the way, to a Kohen who is much less status than him. And that is something very difficult to do. And yet the prince does it. Ashrei, praiseworthy is such a person that is man enough and able to look at their mistakes and say, you know what, my mistakes don't define me. I'm not going to try to hide from them and run away from them. I'm going to own up. I'm going to man up. I'm going to come to the Beit HaMikdash, even if it's a little bit embarrassing. That's the greatness of a person. The Stipler Gaon, Rav Yaakov Kanievsky, alav hashalom, he was invited to many parties throughout his life. And as he got older, he stopped going. He couldn't handle them. It was too difficult. It was too taxing on his health. And one time, a boy invited him to his bar mitzvah. And the boy thought for sure the rabbi is not going to show up. And lo and behold, the night of the bar mitzvah, as they're singing and dancing, in walks in the Stipler. Of course, the boy was shocked. Everybody was shocked. The rabbi does not accept invitations. He didn't go to any parties for such a long... The rabbi walks in. Of course, everybody gathers around the rabbi. He gets right into the middle of the circle of the dancing, and he starts dancing one-on-one with this boy. Then he bends down and he whispers something in the kid's ear. The kid, of course, looks up and he smiles and he nods, and the rabbi thanks him and he leaves. And everybody was shocked. What did the Stipler tell you? That was not a Mazal Tov. That was not a 5-second whisper. We know what he was whispering to you, something much, much longer than Mazal Tov. And the boy told him. A few years ago, he said, he was praying with the Stipler in the Stipler's shul. And he was, during the Hazara, during the repetition of the Amidah, he had in front of him a large book opened. And he was looking inside, and the Stipler assumed that the kid was learning during the Hazara. And the Halakha says one's not allowed to do anything. One has to listen to the Chazan's words, nothing else, not even learning Torah. The Stipler, of course, went over to the boy and he rebuked him and he said to the kid, you're not allowed to learn, close the book. The kid was so embarrassed because the book was not a Gemara. He wasn't learning anything. It was actually a large size Sidur that he was following along with the Chazan from. And he politely showed the rabbi, says, Rabbi, forgive me, but I'm not learning, I'm following along. The rabbi realized he made a mistake. He was so embarrassed. He jumped to conclusions. He apologized profusely to the kid. And of course the kid, he said, Rabbi, I forgive you, don't worry about it. But the Stipler felt that because this kid was a minor, because he was under bar mitzvah, he was only 7 years old, his forgiveness was not complete. And he waited 6 years till the boy turned bar mitzvah. Could you imagine? The stipler kept a mental note for 6 years. All the problems in the world, all the questions that he's answering, and the real estate in his mind, he kept a tiny piece, because one day when this kid turns bar mitzvah, I have to apologize properly. Not running away from mistakes, owning them, realizing it's okay. We're human, we're not angels, we're not perfect, we're never going to be perfect. Sheva yipol tzaddik, my entire life I'm going to make mistakes. The greatness of a person is when they're able to look at them, to confront them, and to own them. Asher nasi yicheta, ashrei, praiseworthy is such a person, praiseworthy is such a nation. We should be zocher to grow from all the mistakes that we make in life. Amen. Shabbat shalom.